Going on to the political part of the podcast, you have Vivek Ramaswamy on the California law for parents to lose custody of their children if they refuse to transition them. Now, this is one of those political issues where I've noticed this with many topics and concepts, where you have something happening in Canada, and a law will be passed in Canada, and subsequently it'll be passed to Diet Canada, which many would call California, which many would also call Diet America, perhaps. But nevertheless, the law will go to Canada. Then the theme, again, it's not the same law being passed in terms of the bill number. I'm saying the body and the meaning of the law is replicated. So it's replicated to California, and then goes to the rest of the United States. And you've seen this with many different topics throughout the years. And in Canada, you actually have fathers where their children are being taken away from them. They're being put in prison if they don't use the preferred pronouns their child demands. Literally prison. Because again, you do not have free speech in Canada. They're trying to do that in the United States. Michigan passed, I believe it was through their House, going to the Senate a couple months back in June, where if you did not use someone's pronouns, they would be classified as a new hate crime and you would be fined $10,000 or be put in jail. And again, when it comes to the issue of pronouns, there are some people with religious faith-based backgrounds where it's the opposite of their faith. They believe God created you and you're perfect just the way you are. You're in his image. So that community, that law goes against their faith-based. You have also people who, they just don't believe in the pronouns. They believe in, I was going to say the science. That's kind of cliche to say. But there are a lot of people who, they're not just faith-based. Not just that specific group is going against this cultural phenomenon, some might say, but they don't agree with it. Well, they all might be subsequently arrested in the future. Now, Vivek, he had a response to this, and his response went viral. I mean, in one day, it got 1 million views, which is astonishingly successful. One of these days, we will get there. Now, he responded, and I'll read his text before we play the appropriated video. Actually, no, given the context, I'm going to play the video first. So this video, let me pull it up right here. I can't tell if this is a man or a woman. Now I'm curious. I have to Google this, or Brave, accurately. I might... Scott Wilson? What is this? Scott Wilson. It's got to be California. Really? Hard to say. Now, this individual originally reported by Colin Rugg, and Colin, and again, Vivek's responses to this, so we'll read this first. Colin Rugg said, quote, "Just in, California State Assembly has passed a bill allowing parents to lose custody of their children if they refuse to accept their child's gender transition. They want your kids." Quote, "California lawmakers sent Gavin Newsom a proposed law that required judges to consider a parent's affirmation of their child's identity in custody cases," unquote, reported by Zafasta on X. And this video is Senator Scott Wiener has no kids, co-authored this legislation. And then the other comment from Colin Rugg is creep.
That parents affirm their children. They have since the dawn of time. Typically, it happens when their gender identity and expression matches their biological gender. But what happens is when it doesn't, that's when the affirmation starts to wane. And that's what we're dealing with here. Although it's called the TGI bill, they're not mentioned. Oh
no, that's Lori Wilson pictured. All right. Or speaking, rather. I think. Oh, that's what the text says. All right.
Anywhere in the law. What's mentioned in the law is the child's gender identity and expression and the parent's affirmation of that, whatever it is, because that is our duty as parents, to affirm our children.
Really? I didn't know that. So this person's saying that that's the job of the parent, to affirm the children. So if your kid wants to eat only candy as their diet, you have to affirm that decision. I don't think that logic strain or lack of logic flows with many people, not just politically on the left or politically on the right. I think I shouldn't be surprised this has become a political issue, but I think a lot of people in the middle are starting to be concerned that, again, these drugs have never been tested in terms of long term. Lupron is actually developed for child predators to neuter them, and that's the main drug that's being used for these instances. And again, children can't consent. I think there's a lot of people who don't consider themselves politically active are starting to think, well, you have one side saying we're going to transition your kids and we're going to take them away if you don't. Another side, well, I would say doing something. What's the right doing these days? Hardly anything, I would say. And then they have Vivek who's starting to stand up and say something, which is more than most politicians who acquiesce from all responsibility. Now, Vivek's response to this was, quote, affirming a child's confusion isn't compassion, it's cruelty. Trans is a mental health illness and should be treated as such. Protect our kids, unquote. And again, Vivek got 1 million views in a day. And interestingly enough, got 10,600 likes. Now, some of the top responses for Vivek, interestingly enough, were kind of mixed. So you have someone by the name of Amy, who, okay, if I look at her profile, she's a leftist, a little background there, but she says wrong, and she got 10 likes out of 526 views. You have David Tejeras saying California is going downhill fast, 25 likes out of 1,962 views. And you have Childi Uzbekistan saying, quote, we must protect our kids, 10 likes out of 3,243 views. Says Daniel Marta says, quote, exactly, a very harmful and should be banned nationwide. Another one says, feels so moon, saying, quote, California still has the most conservatives. If you look at the numbers, they need to act now, unquote. Which again, I can't believe, if you're politically right and living in California, why the hell are you living in California? You're paying, a huge income tax on top of all the taxes, and your vote barely counts. It does, but statistically speaking, it's been blue for decades. Similar to Illinois, well, that's been what? Illinois has been, well, at least the mayor of Chicago, 92 years. There are some areas where they're so entrenched politically, it makes more political sense to move to a purple state if you are politically ambitious or you want your vote to be, or a swing state, if you want your vote to have a greater impact. Now, interestingly enough, you look at Colin Rugg, who's the original reporter on this, or one of the original, I should clarify. When you look at Colin's responses, he got 7.5 million views. And his top responses, one was from Elon Musk saying, quote, this is an outrage, unquote. And he got 190.3 million views, 193,000 views. 190.3 thousand views. For Elon, it really is bizarre when he only gets a couple 100,000 views, considering isn't he the most followed person on Twitter now? So I would say if Elon really wants to have more of an impact on a specific political issue, probably more prudent to just post it as opposed to responding, but another topic for another time. And he got 7,617 likes, giving a ratio of 4%, not too shabby. Now, you also have someone by the name of Western Lensman saying, quote, this is pure evil. They will stop at nothing to destroy parental rights and make your children wards of the socialist state. This person got 210,000 views, or rather, specifically 210.7 thousand views and 6,114 likes. Not too shabby. It's a ratio of 2.9%. Now, Colin Rugg actually responded to his own original tweet. Colin Rugg said, quote, they're basically saying, if you don't align to our liberal beliefs, we can't take your kids, unquote. Now, he got 193.7 thousand views and 6,305 likes. Pretty impressive. 3.26% like ratio. Yeah, so scrolling through a couple of the other comments here, you have someone by the name of Paul Hookham saying tolerance is a path, in which he has a meme which shows a inappropriately very inappropriately, to say the least. There's a lot of skin being shown where you have a drag queen reading books and dancing in front of kids wearing very little clothing at all, and then the bottom says, your children are the destination. Another where a child is putting money into a trans dancer, I would guess a stripper, which again, you wouldn't do that at a regular strip club. Why this is deemed societally appropriate is beyond me. Now, in terms of Vivek's initial tweet and his response to this, I think perhaps one of the most important topics to a lot of people is, cliche to say, but protecting their kids. If you look at a family in the United States, what's really important to them? Cost of their groceries, making sure they have their jobs, protecting they have a nice safe community, their kids, their family. And in terms of moves on the political chessboard, not a lot of Republicans are speaking out on this. Now, perhaps that's because most of them are rhinos, which is a pejorative term that means Republican in name only. Can't help but notice people, when they go to D.C., there's always a lot of Republicans who switch sides when it comes to voting on bills. Democrats never do that. So, again, a friendly reminder, if you vote Republican, make sure you enthusiastically check on the status of their voting patterns and appropriately vote them out. And vote someone in that's actually going to stand for their beliefs and things they claim they believe in when they're campaigning. A friendly reminder of the day, I have to do this for the people politically on the right, because you don't see this issue on the left. People who are Democrat. They don't switch votes. There's not a closet Republican. Fascinating phenomenon in D.C. But nevertheless, in terms of Vivek's move on the political chessboard, I think this will resonate with people in the middle. Let me know in the comments. Do you think I'm completely wrong with this? Is it a swing and a miss? But for my 3 cents for this topic, on the move, in terms of the moves on the political chessboard, I think Vivek is being very strategic in this. And I believe he also most likely authentically believes in it as well. But I think there's a lot of people, and again, when it comes to winning a presidential election, you need people in the middle. I think a lot of people make the mistake of becoming entrenched, being in the left or in the right. You do need the middle in order to win. You need the majority votes. And there are a lot of people who are undecided. There are a lot of people who don't even have a political affiliation that they're registered as. Partially because they've been so alienated and screwed over by both sides, I would also argue. But so there's instances where I think this will resonate with people in the middle, as well as politically speaking, people on the right, as this has become a political issue. More people politically on the right believe in this stance of the parents know what's best. The government is not the parent. That is in no way appropriate for them to take your kids away, as we've seen schools do so often before. So, politically speaking, I think it's a prudent move by Vivek, and I don't know, it perhaps won't double his numbers in the polls or these pollings, but maybe a single percentage point. But sometimes that's all it takes to overcome your opponents and become the nominee, which is what right now they're all striving to do. So it'll be interesting. Let me know in the comments. Do you think this is a quote-unquote winning political issue to bring up? I can't help but think it is, because I think a lot of parents are worried about the future, and they're concerned that they will lose the right to decide what is best for their kids. And I would say because they spend the most time with them and they're the most invested in them, they're a part of them. It's their right to protect their kids. But that's just my 3 cents. It used to be 2 cents, but 40-year hyperinflation got to increase it to 3. It's one of those instances where should charge 4 cents really, but it's one of those things where I'm a generous man, just 3 cents. Though it's still free to click that subscribe button, as well as give feedback in the comments and the likes. It's all greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in today. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to click that subscribe button. I know it's ambitious, but trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of September, I think we could do it together. Don't forget to take the time to comment and like the video. I really appreciate the feedback, whether it's making my speech or trying to make my speech slow down a little bit, trying to be a little bit more articulate in the videos. Thanks to you, I was able to bring that more to my attention, put it on my list of things that I'm trying to improve on, or whether it's giving me feedback, whether it comes to the UAW issue, or maybe it's political stats, or maybe just your experience in certain business segments. More data, the better. I'd love to hear your experiences, and I could bring them up next time we talk about them on the show. So don't forget to leave the comments. I greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to take the time to tell your friends, tell your families, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.